A year and a half ago, right, I had a sort of a disagreement
His reaction
with the
video.
management at the NBC.
I hear this story, and there's like this press release, and you get your ass fired.
I wanted to keep my job, right?
That guy doesn't care in a way that frightens me.
Oh no, how can you this weasel fired you?
No, but he doesn't think I'm funny. The bad news is, I'm still not funny.
One of the most respected comedians working today, though show business has never really found a place to put him.
His career's over after this anyway. Who cares?
There's this movie coming out, title undetermined at this point.
Chairman of the board.
Do something with that, you freak.
I bet the board is spelled B-O-R-E-D.
Conan threw his chair back. The place went nuts.
He ended up putting that actor, when he did his sitcom, he ended up getting her a job. Because he probably felt bad, because then the movie flopped.
Like he was deeply, deeply polite, deeply, deeply concerned with the person that he's talking to. An audience, not so much.
1985,
Hey, man.
Ottawa, Canada. A 25-years-old Norm MacDonald takes the stage in Yuck Yuck's Comedy Club for the first time. After the set was over, Norm was so overwhelmed and blinded by his fear, he didn't realize how good he did for a first-timer. He promises he will never try stand-up ever again and leaves the club.
He said, I'm never doing this again. And walk down the street.
But the owner of the comedy club was impressed by Norm's performance.
Howard Wagner.
Yeah, so comedy, there's a lot
Beats
of
them.
bombing because it's pure art.
Down
And you have to bomb in order to grow, which is... It's pride cycles, humility into exaltation, exaltation into humility into exaltation. Luke 18:9-14.
Ottawa and said, no, that was great. You're coming
Luke
back.
18:14
And made him come back.
specifically.
He had gotten off a stage and decided maybe comedy wasn't for him. But somebody chased him down the street, and it was you, and his life changed forever.
Well, yeah, that's a true story.
I was reading this other thing in this other book. It said that if you're afraid of homosexuals, it means that deep down inside, you're actually a homosexual yourself. And that kind of worries me, because I'm afraid of dogs.
He definitely was a perfectionist, and he thought he didn't do well, and
Not
he
funny.
quickly left after his set. But clearly he was depressed and thought he really. So I felt the need to go and find him and tell him, you're coming back because you've got a gift.
How did you know, Howard?
There's a handful of people that you just know. There's a very rare time when you see somebody on stage the very first time and you say, this is somebody special.
At the beginning of his career, Norm used to have a very bad stage frighten, and it was very visible on his body language from old clips of him doing stand-up.
You used to get stage fright, is that true?
Yeah. Bad state.
How'd you get over it?
Norm's older brother Neil MacDonald said he once saw Norm hyperventilating in the bathroom before pulling himself together and delivering a great performance.
I used to freeze with fear, and my voice would be normal, and then as soon as I got on stage, something happened to it.
But he didn't need a stage-conquering physical performance to stand out from his peers.
Back then, there wasn't a lot of people doing stand-up like Norm. Like, there wasn't this sort of angle of sort of this absurdity to it. It was more of a structured, down-the-middle way of doing stand-up back then. And so Norm was this sort of curveball, and we just couldn't get enough of it.
By 1986, less than a year after he started his stand-up career on amateur nights, Norm appeared on Just for Laugh Comedy Festival in Montreal. This is an audio recording of a bit he did on the festival about Canadian Parliament television.
Thank you very much. I do watch a lot of parliamentary television. I come from Ottawa. It's pretty exciting. I don't know, I go down, I watch Question Period, and I think that's a good name for it, Question Period, because there's never any answers. These guys,
Oh, it's still so good.
They're very evasive, these guys. They know how to skirt around the question. Every time they get a direct question, they know how to evade it. I was wondering if they were always like that, like even in grade school. The teacher would be going, Brian, did you tell us what 4 times 2 equals, please? Well, let me say, sir. Let me suggest to you that perhaps that's a question better put to my classmate, John. Where was he, sir? Where was he when we studied subtraction? And a lot of negative things were being said. Where was he? When I was in the trenches with the book, sir, where was my honorable classmate? Well, I've explained that I returned to private school for a short time. And,
He also got named as one of this country's hottest comics by the Montreal Gazette the same year. But before capitalizing from these accomplishments, Norm was faced with cruel fate. He got diagnosed with gastrointestinal cancer, which threatened his life. It took him more than a year to get back to doing stand-up again. After returning to stand-up, he meets someone who helped him explore his interest and invent the theme of comedy Norm will be known for.
You know who's changed me in stand-up was Sam Kinison. I did stand-up, as you know, in Ottawa, and I was talking about stuff, and Sammy Kinison came, to Canada
and he wasn't famous or nothing. And he took a liking to me, and he took me across the country. And it was the greatest time I ever had.
As I was doing stand-up when I began, strictly to get on television. So I go, what can I do about a cat or a dog? Or
Sam said to me one time, he goes, you got good jokes, man. He goes, but I noticed you talk about dogs and shit. Are you really interested in dogs? And I had, at the time, about a 25-minute bit on dogs. And I was like, no, I don't give a fuck about dogs.
Right.
And he said, well, why don't you just talk about what you're interested in? So from then on, it became death.
Right. Death was the...
But when I started out in stand-up, there wasn't no Canadian TV. You know, there wasn't nothing, or movies and nothing like that. So we did our stand-up, and then we would travel around. And thanks to this very nice man named Mark Breslin, who started Yuck Yucks, we got a chance to stand up. And but there was nothing that we were going for. There was only getting better at stand-up.
Not long after, Norm moved to LA to push his stand-up career further.
When I moved to Los Angeles, I started noticing, the first thing I noticed was, God damn, everybody's handsome. Like all the stand-ups were super handsome.
Yeah, so let's talk about that one for a second. If you just heard what he said there, he said goddamn. So there's a lot going on there. It's been said in the past, do not use the Lord's name in vain, but I say unto you, if you do not have the Lord's name in your veins, you have not been born again. It's the higher law there. So who says it? The intention, the motives, the carelessness. He's going to get judged by that. He did die and go to hell. Norm MacDonald. I don't know if you guys knew that. But I prayed him out. And I'm using him because I need to be president. And I'm going to laugh my way to that political throne. And the righteous aren't going to like it. But I need to get my Ecclesiastes 7:16 stock up anyway. So he feeds me jokes. He's a freaking asshole. But I got to study this guy a little bit because I'm going to be creative in how I go about doing this. But I'm called to be president, and it's going to be tricky. Just because you're called to be president doesn't mean it's going to happen. The devil has his counter plays, and you know, Jesus and God win, we win the wars, but the devil can win battles. And me being president is not a war, it's a battle. So it's a losable endeavor. And 1 in 400, less than 1%. It's 1/4%. But this whole idea that, you know, and the guy that edited this video, he's guilty too, because he needs to edit out the goddamn. The guy who's editing this, who made this video, he doesn't even know. Like, he's so stupid. Like, if you're going to hype up Norm, it's like, just take out the goddamn. But there's different levels of it. You can use your brain, or you can pray, or... I was at Dublin Bowl. This girl named Brittany Kritzer came up to me. Her wife, or her brother just died. He died and went to hell for the same thing. He just got hit by a car. He was saying, well, he said Jesus Christ, and there was a negative connotation. He was like, Jesus Christ. He said it when it was bad. It was bad. He was into bowling and stuff. I mean, I won't wait forever. Do you love me? He said, Jesus Christ. And I said, is my Savior. But her brother, I'm sorry, his sister, named Brittany Kritzer, I shot 780, which is 260 average for 3 games. Lots of strikes there. About as good as it gets. And She said, Jesus. Like that. And I just knew in my heart it wasn't a sin at all. She's invoking Jesus Christ's name to express amazement. Well, that's not using the Lord's name in vain. Let's go back. Let's see the flavor of ice cream on this goddamn.
Not long after, Norm moved to LA to push his stand-up career further.
When I moved to Los Angeles, I started noticing. The first thing I noticed was, God damn, everybody's handsome.
Oh, wait, see it again? Goddamn, he's handsome?
Not long after, Norm moved to LA to push his stand-up career further.
When I moved to Los Angeles, I started noticing. The first thing I noticed was, God damn, everybody's handsome. Like all the
Well, I mean, that might have changed. See, that changed the whole thing. I wasn't listening. I'm sorry, you guys. That's a good goddamn right there. God damn, everyone's handsome. But listen, I have heard Norm enough. He does use goddamn inappropriately, but that's not an inappropriate one. I apologize on this one. I'm glad it happened because I got to talk about the doctrine of LIV. Or LNIV. The doctrine of LNIV. Here, write that down. Has a ring to it. Let's go here. Otherwise, I'll forget. LNIV. The doctrine of... And this is called... How about TN? LNIV. Oh, NIV is New International Version. So LNIV is the Lord's name in vain. The doctrine of Lord's name in vain. TLNIV? No, LNIV. So the NIV is the New Living Translation. The LNIV, you put the L in there, meaning loser. The LNIV, which is the doctrine of Lord's name. Lord's name in vain. And the rule is, if the name is used to hype up something good, not only is it not bad, but it's good. KNOT. And these are going to be esoteric multiplex knots, which are the most confusing and complex ones. They're meant to confuse and confound. The best knots would be the ones that are righteous binding, tying a knot, marriage knots, and righteous entanglement. Not could also mean absolutely, but these are ones where it's complexity, positive complexities, not. We need the knots. Okay, not. And then here we go. If you use it to tax something you don't like, it's almost always bad. And then yeah, so it's negative veins are much worse than positive ones. It's similar to the word nigger or nigga. Similar to nigger. So nigger is almost always bad, and then nigga is almost always good. But there are some contexts, like if I just walk up to a guy I don't know and say, "What's up, my nigga?" That could be bad for me because I'm white and I don't know him, and he might hear it as a nigger. But if you say nigger, it could still be good if it's a black guy to a black guy and they're friends on the basketball court. But you'd still probably be better off avoiding both of these words completely. That's what the Oprah Winfrey Oprah. Like, it's just risky to use those words, but Oprah Winfrey. I kind of take a more Oprah Winfrey approach on the Lord's name in vain. I don't, try to say, oh, you're so goddamn handsome, even though it's not a sin, according to LNIV. I don't do that, right? Because I take the Oprah Winfrey, which is the higher law. Higher law. Okay. And in my opinion, the Oprah Winfrey is the higher law here. Just avoid the word nigger and nigga completely. But if you are going to use it, know the complexities. Make sure you're probably going to want to be black, but you don't have to be black to say it. But just know what you're doing, because you might get your ass beat. If you just walk around calling everyone a nigger or nigga, and it could get bad for you. There's a lot of history around those words, just words in general. You have the freedom of speech, but I'm just saying there's consequences to words, and you'll get your ass handed to you, unless you're stronger than him, and which is rare for a white guy to be stronger than a black guy. But just because he's not as strong as you doesn't mean if you say it unironically, he can still beat your ass. Doesn't matter if you're stronger. It's not about the size of the dog in the fight. It's about the size of the fight in the dog. And anyone who studied history, and then cracker is another word. Cracker. The word cracker was actually created by white guys, and they convinced a bunch of black guys to use that word to insult white guys from a black person's perspective. And the reason is because a cracker still exalts the white man over the black man. So even the black people's insults are exalting the white man over the black man. So that's how racist that is. These are called racists. I'm not racist the way Jim Crow was racist, and I'm not racist the way Charlie Kirk was racist. I'm racist the way Eric Smythe is racist. Eric Smythe is my real name. I also go by Eric Smith, and there's a lot of reasons for that. Eric Smith is pronounced Smythe or Smith. Eric Smythe, S-M-Y-T-H, like Y as in why is my name spelled like this? So I have playful racism. Racism. Charlie Kirk has what's called reverse racism. And Jim Crow, has real racism. Okay. That's the doctrine of LNIV. And then you have to look at the context. Good. And then context is key. And a lot of things are like this. And then we're going to have perspective. Okay. So yeah, what he said wasn't a sin, but the higher law would be don't say goddamn. Just say, wow, everyone's handsome. Would have been better. But goddamn, everyone's handsome. It's not a sin, but it's cringe. And cringe technically is a micro sin. Well, I mean, I'm glad he said it. I got to create a new doctrine out of that. Because if God doesn't give a goddamn, then I don't give a goddamn either. Don't straighten out a gnat and swallow a camel. That's what I used to do, because there's, if you want to crush evil, go for the big stuff first. We're in a world where oranges are being... We're in a world where Vladimir Putin just killed 2 million people or something. Kim Jong-un is lying about his golf scores. And whatever else is going on, wars, and we need people like me exposing the big stuff. Now, if you have 5 kids, they're all really righteous, and one of the kids doesn't want to clean his room, you can flip out unironically, because if that little kid thinks that he can disobey you and get away with it, it's going to be a tough life for him and for you. So that you need to freak out for so many different reasons. That's not a little issue, that's a big issue. It has nothing to do with the room. It has to do with your mindset. I've only yelled at my dad once in my life, and I was losing friends Two friends were in a fight with each other. One guy, it was a misunderstanding. He thought he owed him $4,000, but he really owed him $13,000, and there was no arbitration. And I lost one of them. I went with the guy that was more righteous, that I love less, over the guy that I love more but was wicked. It was a brutal decision, but I had to choose. But I come home with tacos, and my dad's giving me attitude about how a clean house is better than a dirty house, which I strongly disagree with. And I flipped and yelled at him. This is the first, I was either 33 or 34 years old. First time I ever yelled at him, and the first thing he said was, well, you can move out. So that's how that works. I repented within 2 seconds. And I said, 10 seconds. I yelled at him again. I said, I'm obviously not in the right state of mind. You think I'm going to yell at you over whether the house is clean? Like, that was my one bullet, right? I've been saving that one for 34 years. And I'm trying to defend a dirty house. And he was like, sorry. It's all good. He actually thought I was being serious. Crazy. But if there's one thing my dad's good at, it's admitting that he's wrong. I can't even tell you how many fights we've been in where he'll start yelling at me. He'll say, you're right. I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at the situation. Because, like, now that you explained it, now I'm pissed that I'm wrong. And that's how he fights me. It's freaking hilarious. Does anyone else in the world do that? You're right! It just dawned on me. I'm like, okay. And he's like, he has all the power, and he can't use it because he thinks he's wrong because I explained it. But that's why I said he's not the most righteous dad in the world. He's the best dad. What other dad would do that? Now, I can't run over him if I'm wrong. But I'm not gonna verbally get into a fight with my dad if I'm wrong. It doesn't make any sense. So every time I've done it, I'm right. And then he's like, why is my son yelling at me? And then he's like, crap, I'm wrong. But that one was interesting because he had a royal flush. I'm trying to defend a dirty house. Kind of. I mean, but it was weird because he was trying to project his worldview onto mine. He was saying, what's your favorite TV show? And I'm yelling Jimmy Neutron. And he wants it to be SpongeBob SquarePants. And I'm like, no, it's Jimmy Neutron. He's like, it's SpongeBob SquarePants. And I'm like, really? That's not one where, I mean, we're both right. It's just we have different taste buds. I'm into all that smart stuff. He's into the Bikini Bottom, Patrick Star. This. F is for friends who do stuff together. U is for you and me. N is for anyone, anytime at all, down here in the deep blue sea. F is for falling into the flowers. U is for ukulele. N is for anyone, anytime at all, down here with my best buddy. Now, what's wrong with that? I don't know. I like that part of it. I like that part of the show. It's just a weird show. It's very strange. A lot of episodes that were very weird. But if you look at the fruit of it, the fruit of that show, it was just, in a lot of ways, mindless entertainment. There wasn't a lot of esoteric overarching morality growth. It wasn't Veggie Tales, in other words. Although Veggie Tales was pretty strange and weird too. But it's just